Today, we're diving into a legal case that honestly seems to completely contradict itself. It's a story that really makes you question our basic ideas of what's fair when it comes to divorce. Let's get right into it.
So here's the central question. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? How could a court find you legally responsible for ending a marriage and then turn around and order your ex to pay you, maybe for the rest of your life? It feels like a total paradox. But you know what? It happened. And here's the proof. Back in 2003, the Madras High Court handed down this incredible split decision. The husband, he won. He got the divorce he'd been fighting for based on his wife's actions. But at the exact same moment, the wife won too. She was awarded permanent financial support from him. So how on earth is that possible? Let's break it all down.
First up, let's take a closer look at the surprising twist in the verdict. Because on the surface, it's a real legal head-scratcher. It just seems to defy all logic.
Let's be really clear about the facts here. The court didn't mince words. It explicitly found that the wife was legally at fault for the marriage falling apart, and yet the husband was still on the hook financially. This is the puzzle we're about to solve.
To really get how the court reached this conclusion, we gotta rewind the clock. This wasn't some quick decision. Oh no. This was the final dramatic chapter in what was an incredibly long and bitter legal war.
Just look at this timeline. The separation started all the way back in 1988. The first divorce papers were filed in 91. And what came next was just years of legal chaos. Appeals, cases getting sent back down, dismissals. This thing dragged on for a staggering 15 years before the High Court finally stepped in. It wasn't just a divorce, it was a total legal marathon.
And at the heart of it all were two people: the husband, a high-ranking government official, and the wife, a postgraduate teacher. Little did they know, their very personal, painful breakup would end up becoming this landmark case that set a powerful legal precedent for so many others.
All right. To solve this paradox, we first have to understand exactly why the court sided with the husband on the divorce. His entire case was built on two very specific legal arguments: desertion and cruelty. Okay, first, let's talk about desertion. In family law, this is a big deal. It's not just about leaving. It's about packing up and leaving without a good reason, without your spouse's okay, and with absolutely no plan to ever come back. Legally, that's considered a serious matrimonial wrong.
The court didn't just guess. It used a really clear three-part test. 1, the physical separation. Did she leave? Yes, back in 1988. Nobody disputed that. 2, the intent. Did she mean to leave for good? The court said yes, especially since she actively fought his efforts to get back together. And 3, the duration. Did it last long enough? Well, it lasted way more than the 2 years required by law. So for the court, it was check, check, and check. But wait, there's more. The husband's case didn't just rest on desertion. He also argued that he had suffered from mental cruelty, and we're talking about conduct so severe that it causes deep mental anguish and makes it literally impossible to live together. And the court completely agreed with him. It found that she had filed a false police complaint, that she'd sent these awful defamatory letters to his bosses at the ministry. She even accused him of plotting to kill her. The court saw all this as a very clear, deliberate attempt to ruin his career, and that easily met the legal definition of mental cruelty. So when it came to the divorce part of the equation, the court's conclusion was crystal clear. The wife was legally at fault on 2 separate counts. The husband absolutely deserved his divorce. Case closed, right? Well, not so fast. And this right here is where we get to the heart of it all. How do you square that finding of fault with an order to pay money? Well, the answer lies in understanding that the court was asking 2 completely different questions. This is the key that unlocks the whole thing. Think of it as 2 separate tracks. On one track, you have divorce. That's the legal remedy for a marital wrong. And it is based almost entirely on fault. But on the other track, you have alimony, or maintenance. Its purpose is totally different. It's a remedy for financial hardship, and it's based on need. In the eyes of the law, fault and need are 2 separate conversations. Now, the court wasn't just pulling this out of thin air. It was following the letter of the law. Section 25 of the Hindu Marriage Act actually gives the court this flexibility. It says to consider the conduct of the parties. Yeah, for sure. But it also says to look at the other circumstances of the case. So her bad behavior was just one factor the judge had to weigh. It wasn't some automatic disqualifier for getting financial support. Here's a really simple way to picture it. The divorce,
That was like the referee throwing a penalty flag for a foul. In this case, the wife's desertion and cruelty. But the alimony, that's like a separate league insurance policy. Its job isn't to punish the foul. Its job is to make sure that a player isn't left financially broken after the game is over. So what did that insurance policy actually look like? Well, the court awarded a total of 3,000 rupees per month, and that was broken down into 2,000 for the wife's basic needs and another 1,000 for the support of their son.
The court's thinking here was all about public policy. See, the goal of maintenance isn't about rewarding good behavior or punishing bad behavior. It's about preventing a divorced person from being left with nothing. And, so important, the welfare of their son was a top priority. Finally, the court just looked at the practical reality. The husband had a good government job, he could afford it, and the wife needed the support. Her need was treated as a completely separate issue from her fault.
So you see, this wasn't just some weird one-off decision. This case is actually a perfect illustration of a fundamental principle in modern family law. The single biggest takeaway is this bright, clear line that the law draws. Getting a divorce is about who was wrong. Getting alimony is about who is in need. They are not the same thing, and one does not automatically cancel out the other. And that's the real legacy of this case. It proves that you can win your divorce, but still walk away with a financial duty to your ex. It shows that being at fault doesn't mean you're automatically left with nothing. And most of all, it reminds us that the courts are looking at a much bigger picture, preventing people from falling into poverty and making sure kids are taken care of. Ultimately, what this case really shows us is that justice isn't always black and white. It's not about finding one winner and one loser. It's about applying different legal tools to solve the different, messy, and complicated problems that pop up when a marriage comes to an end. And all of this leaves us with a final, big question to think about. Is this really the right approach? Should the law draw such a sharp line between how someone behaved in a marriage and their right to get financial support after it's over? It's a question that really gets to the very heart of what we think justice should look like.